Just going to do a quick video on Red Shed because I want to get it running so I can drive it around the field, and I also want to get the Holly carburetor off the top of the engine because that's potentially part of my Bob engine rebuild. Possibly, I don't know yet, but I'm going to put a pair of Strombergs on there, and I'll get those working so I can at least drive the car around the field and have some fun. However, it is 2,000 degrees inside that polytunnel, really is. So I'm going to use Sandy to drag him out. Okay, so the job for Red Shed is to remove this carburetor manifold and fit a pair of refurbed Strombergs that I've got in the unit and get the car up and running. That's all really I want to try and get done today. There's quite a complex kind of breather setup going on here. I suspect because the carburetor works on a different principle to the Strombergs, which are constant vacuum. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. All manner of kind of adjustments on the wiring and so forth. A rainbow plethora of colours of HT leads. Marvellous, really, isn't it? Right, okay, should be a piece of cake ready. Let's start with, come off there. See what we've got under here. Holly. It's not even that beefier carburetor. I've seen beefier. Interesting, isn't it? Right, let's go and get the socket, take the carb off the body. Throttle can come off. Throttle cable will probably still work. Let's take that off there, we don't need that. I'll just cut these things, I think. Because I'm going to take the inlet manifold off and the cooling system runs through the inlet manifold, I need to drain it down. So all I do here is just take the plug off the top of the rad. Cool, you can see there's a bit of pressure in there today. That's just from the heat from today. Good levels of antifreeze in there. Don't want to be dumping that on the ground really. So I use my ever faithful Pella 6000 extraction pump. And this is dead easy. All you really do is poke the end of the pipe, one-handed, into the top of the radiator. It's that's got warm. Put the other end on here and create a vacuum. So I shall create a vacuum and suck all the coolant out. That's busily gurgling away to itself. Should drop down relatively quickly. I only need to go sort of half the radiator really. That needs to be empty, half the radiator, and then I know that the heads will be free. So in the meantime I'm going to get some of this. There's vacuum hoses and all sorts of things that are here. So it looks like the vacuum hose for the diff lock is teed off there. There's another vacuum pipe there that wasn't actually connected really at all, so that wouldn't have been doing an awful lot. So I'll take all these vacuum pipes off. I'm not going to be using servo brakes, I don't think. Not until after a rebuild anyway. Take all these pipes off, breather pipes and vacuum pipes. This lot here is all breather. That should go onto the air filter. That should connect onto a pipe which goes around onto there. There's a pipe missing there. They are available. I tend to just use a oil and fuel friendly pipe and put a spring at the inside of it just so it doesn't collapse on itself. Right, let's crack on with this bloody thing. Right, more for my reference point than anything else. There's kind of a wax stat kind of choke thing on this thing, and it takes this coily cable goes back to a green supply, which is fine. That's ignition control fused. Drop the phone. And the other thing was the vacuum advance for this car attaches onto the bottom of the carburetor down here, right at the base of the carburetor, as I would expect it to. Throttle body goes off this little bracket here, and it's a right mash-up of odds and sods. We'll work on that. Throttle springs are off it anyway. I'll take the throttle cable off because I want to keep the throttle cable with the car because it needs to go onto the new carburetor somehow. No, I don't think this throttle cable is going to work on the new car. The throttle cable is going to end up being a piece of string short term. That's easy enough. Right, this carburetor should come off once I've... Yeah, it's loose already. Okay, so let's get the throttle cable off. Let's get the fuel feed hose off. That's easy enough to take off. Quite amusing though, the throttle mechanism was literally just the cable in that hole there and then that squeeze tight. Effective, simple. Right, okay, so here we've got, I'm reluctant to tip it upside down because it's got full of fuel here, but you can see here we've got 4 chokes, throttle chokes on the bottom. Throttle butterflies I should say, 1 choke on the top. So we've got the primaries, I'm guessing, on this side, because as I open the throttle up I can see which ones are opening. It'll be these ones. These ones are opening first, but this on the top is not opening because that's on the mechanical choke thing. So that's part of the choke. Right, okay, so then we've got the primary which opens, and then it opens up the secondary on near full throttle. There's the secondary there, operates on that. In fact, they're stuck. Why are they stuck? It might be a bench job. Oops, this washer just fallen off there. We'll drain these down, we'll have a good look at this carburetor, because I suspect that one of the chokes on this carburetor is not, sorry, one of the throttle bodies on this carburetor is not working. We'll have a look. Aha, right, okay, second set of throttle bodies is actuated by this vacuum device on the side here. I'm looking at the underside of it, and it's got that vacuum device there, so we can test things out, make sure things are working. And this fellow on the top here is the cold start choke, which is automatic on this thing, which I don't generally like the automatic ones, because you can see here already this thing is defaulted to the off position. Quite why it's defaulted to the off position I don't know. So it's defaulted to choke. So chances are that the cold start has failed on this. I don't know, I'm not familiar with this carb. We'll have a look. But this could be an interesting carburetor to put onto Project Bob, couldn't it? Along with that manifold. Because it looks a bit period, doesn't it? Got Offenhauser, yeah! Kings of Power. Yeah, so all that's going to get cleaned up. This is most likely for this this manifold is going to end up on Bob with a bit of power. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. Good bit of kit that. Let's pop him up there, nice and safe, balanced on the back end of Lincoln Green. Right, now get the rest of these hoses off here. So I'm probably going to take the thermostat housing off because I want to suck the rest of the water out of the inlet manifold. I really don't want water going into the engine through the top of the V, because there's none in there at the moment and it doesn't want to have any in it. So top hose off, heater hoses off, and we'll take it from there. Throttle cable can come out of the way, you can sit over there, and we'll get this inlet manifold off. Okie dokie, so all the coolant's out. I've taken the heat hoses off the back, take the heat hoses off the front, undone all the bolts. Manifold will not shift. Now this is quite common for these things actually to get a bit on the tight side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release one of the rocker covers because I don't want to damage the inlet manifold. It's not letting up easily, and you can see down here, so if we look down here you can see where the manifold kind of, it gets caught underneath the rocker cover. So I'm going to have to lift one of the rocker covers up and hopefully not destroy the gasket, because I really don't want to be, well I suppose I could just lob another gasket on it, couldn't I? And then when this all goes back together again, I'm just going to loop the pipe around on the back of the water pump so it doesn't have the heater. Yes. Yeah, because the main water goes through the inlet manifold through the thermostat. So the only other 2 pipes are just the heater pipes. No, I'm going to need to block one of the heater pipes up. Oh, I don't know. I'll do something with it. Leave the fan belt disconnected. That's the easiest way of doing it. The reason being is to get some of these pipes off, I did have to cut them because they're a pain in the arse. Right, which manifold are we going to take off? Well, that's a pleasant surprise. That's all pretty clean in there. Yeah. Very nice. I mean, okay, it's got signs of mileage to it, and it's got signs of the oil being slightly burnt in, you know, the odd missed oil change. But on the whole, that's pretty clean. Right, let's see if we can get this thing to lift up now. It's literally just a case, oh, it does lift straight up, that was it. So now I should be able to lift that right out. There we go. Oh, you fucker. Little bit of water. I did suck most of it out. So a little bit went down into that inlet there, but nothing serious. I'll get the what's its name in there, the peller, and it can just suck whatever went in there straight out of it. Just get all this crap out of the back. That can all go over the back there, that's fine. That's good. I don't want to get any of this crap in any of the cylinders. That's all good. That can go down. That's the breather there for the brain's gone completely blank. That's for the diff lock. Right, so there's the manifold anyway. Manifold's off. That'll do the job. That'll clean up nicely. Yeah, I think so. Right, okay, let's what I want to do is just sort out the two hoses on the back of the water pump, and then I'm going to put the manifold straight back in again. Oh, what I was going to do was look at this one and find out where, yeah, because that one goes through. How am I going to do this? I'll do it somehow, don't worry about it. That pipe there is the one I want. That one there is the one I had to cut. There's just no point in plumbing all the bloody heater and everything in. I suppose I could just always just put the pipes on loosely, sod it. Right, okay, other manifold then. So, where's that gone to? It's in here somewhere. There he is, that's the one I want. That one, right there. Iceberg, right ahead. This one. I might have to do it two-handed, folks, sorry. There you go. One pair of Stromberg 175 CDs, as fitted to the very first of the Range Rovers. A couple of bits missing off this. It's missing the thermostatic switch, which I can provide. It's missing the choke warning thing. I had it off the old manifold, didn't I? There's the remains of it on this one here. It's the cold start warning device. And in fact, if that vacuum advanced thing works there, I'll have that one. And it's missing the thermostat cover, which I'm sure I'll find somewhere. More than enough of those kicking around, and this is actually even a Range Rover manifold. It's got RR written on it. Let's go and lob this back on again so we can protect the inlet manifold. Right, okay, so where are we? I've lobbed this manifold on with these carburetors. The carburetors are good, although there's a couple of stubs that need changing on them. That's not really a huge issue, and they're complete. The manifold I'm less happy with. It's got these two extra holes drilled in it here. I've got a better manifold, but it's just not attached to these carburetors for now, but it will be. So I've got an early thermostat housing, and I put a timing temperature sender in there, and I've also looped the cable back on the back. There is no fan belt on this thing at the moment. I might put a bit of rope around it, I might not. We'll see how it goes. At the moment the idea is really just get the engine to fire, and I know the carburetors work. It's not going to hurt it without coolant. In fact, what I could do is I could put coolant in there, and it's just going to sit in the block, but it's not actually going to do anything more than that. So what we need to do, let's put some of these bits down here. We've got a fuel line that comes up from the mechanical pump. That needs to go onto a T-piece, and then it needs to go from the T-piece into that stub there, fuel feed, and that stub there. Okay, I'm not going to do a return feed on this thing. It's fairly low pressure, and I think it will be able to keep up with it. And also the pump only operates when the car's operating, and I might even bypass the pump. Anyway, I'll put a gravity feed on it. But no return feed. There doesn't appear to be a return feed pipe in here anyway, which is hardly surprising because the carburetor was changed some time ago, but it's been pulled out completely. I'm not particularly bothered about that. Obviously when it gets rebuilt we need to make sure we get the return fuel feed pipe back in. I'm missing the spring off the back here, so I'm going to have to go and rob one off one of the other cars. What else we got here? Nice remains of a spider down there. Yeah, just in case. And I'll connect up the two chokes. So basically that pipe there needs to connect up with that pipe there. Just run it straight across, and that's the choke feed. That's a water pipe there, which needs to go to the top of the rad, and there it is, except it's too short because it's going onto the other carburetor. We'll do something. Like I say, I'm not planning on getting this thing running up to temperature. I'm just planning on starting it and making sure it moves. And that way it'll be easy to load onto a trailer and easier to manoeuvre when it arrives at its destination. Yeah, looks much better with those on it. Sweeties, hello Strommies. These are nice and early as well. So they're CD175s for a Range Rover. They're not the later CD2s, so they're a little bit more straightforward to set up. They don't have a vent pin for the float chamber, and obviously, you know, okay, CD2s had improvements over and above these, but these are perfectly okay in this installation. Tell you what, it's blistering hot today. Oh, and I managed to rob an air filter housing, although it's challenged slightly, but that's on the underside. That can soon be patched, fixed up, unless a better one can be found. There's a couple of odds and sods on it, and a couple of elbows as well. But the actual mountings here, this bit underneath those 3 bolts, that's incorrect for this age of car, but again, it's good enough for now to get it started. Right, get these fuel lines put together, I think. Had to jury rig, so first of all fuel lines are all in place. Okay, there's a couple of clips missing, but it will do for the job. The throttle return spring I had to borrow from another car, and the throttle cable obviously was for the Holly carburetor, so I've just spliced the end of an old cable onto it. Jury rigged it. It gives me half throttle, which is more than enough. I'm not planning on going berserk with this thing if it starts. When it starts. When it starts. Not if it starts. When it starts. Right, we're actually not that far off this thing now. I'm just charging a battery up, and then we'll go and get a couple of jump leads. I'll wire the ignition again, and we'll see if we can get it started. At the moment it's still running off the fuel from the tank. I know the fuel in the tank is prehistoric, but it ran last time on fuel in the tank, and I don't see a reason why it shouldn't this time. So we'll see. We will see. Right, old throttle cables and shit going to go back in the barn. Right, it's trying to go. It sort of fires on a couple of cylinders, and it doesn't really want to do much more than that. So I'm just going to take these dash pots apart. I don't think I've had these apart before. Take the covers off, and I just want to just check the float level and make sure it's attached, make sure the needles are behaving themselves. It sort of wants to go. Just needs a bit more choke than I was giving it. It's stall there, you watch. I'm not going to run it for long because I haven't got much coolant in it. In fact, that's probably exactly how long I'm going to run it for. Yeah. It starts. Right, okay, now a couple of cooling pipes down here are leaking, so I just need to tighten those up, I think. At least I know it starts now. Well, it's mildly irritating, but the 2 hoses that are on the bottom of the inlet manifold, the heater hoses that come off the back of the water pump here, they're the ones that are causing me bother. So they need to come off. And I've got some silicone hose here that will fit, just to get the thing, so I can get the thing so it's not pouring water out, but I'm obviously not fussed about pressurising it. But I don't want to be pouring water all over the floor. Antifreeze is nasty shit, you know. It's poison, so animals are attracted to the sweet smell of it, and then they drink it, and then they snuff it, which is no flipping good at all. Right, so let's I'll sort these 2 out, and then I'll come back to you. Right, it is going. It thinks about it. It runs, and it runs quite smoothly actually. So I just have to start him. Just 1 second. You can go there. He needs a bit more. Okay, we stopped the water leak. I've had to improvise on the choke somewhat. I'll take the choke off a little bit. Get it stall. Yeah, he's going to stall. 2 it might just be that it needs a richer mixture, I don't know, or it could be the fuel is ancient. But I'll tell you what, now I've got that running on all 8 cylinders and the carburetor isn't working well, look how steady it is. It's got power steering, but it's got no water pump. I suppose it had, whatever, water pump, but it sorry. So I need to get the water pump belt on it. But the purpose of this exercise was to see if I had a clutch. So let's see if I got a clutch. I have. I've got a clutch. Yes, I've definitely got a clutch, which is great news. I'm not going to leave it running long. It's got water in it, but it's obviously got no water pump. A bit of oil or water or something dripped down here. Oh, there's a bit of crap sitting on the exhaust manifold. Mind you, it's probably the warmest it's been, this engine, for God knows how long. Just brush the shite, rusty shite off the exhaust manifold. Right, I better disconnect the battery actually, because we've got the coil live as well at the moment. So let's just, if I can get it off. There we are. He's off. Right, I think that's a success. I don't know what you think. So what we'll do is I'll get a fan belt sorted out, or a bit of rope or something that's going to turn the water pump, and we'll see if we can take it out. Not on the Queen's Highway, of course. That would just be crazy. I'll tell you one thing. I'm pleased about that. Oh, hello. Keeping in the shade there. That's nice of you. Yes. So same fuel that I was running on the other day. Prehistoric fuel. So it'll probably run even smoother with decent fuel. So the original problem I had with it was the carburetors. One carburetor was running very rich and one was running very lean. I set the two carburetors up the same. I increased the idle speed on both carburetors just by a turn, and then gave it a little bit of choke for a cold start. And with the shit fuel and a choked mixture, or a rich mixture, it's running. And I'm not surprised it needs a rich mixture, because the fuel in here is probably about 4 years old. But yeah, it runs. How about that? Could even rig the jerry can up over here, couldn't I? Because all I need to do is take that, take this union off the filter down here, and have a fuel tank up here, feeding straight into the filter, then into the pump, then into the engine. Let's see what it runs like on fresh fuel. Have we got any brake fluid in this thing? No, boniest, driest, so we've probably got absolutely no brakes whatsoever on this thing, but we'll have the handbrake. Yes. Horse bollocks. They're noisy little bastards tonight, aren't they? They're noisy little bastards all day long, in all honesty. Yes. It actually sounds better as well, even though the exhaust is blowing, it does sound better. It sounds like it's running more evenly. So the other carb is probably properly gummed up. But yeah, I'm going to concentrate on getting a fan belt. Neil, what do you think? I must have a fan belt somewhere, because I only need to adjust this in order to put the fan belt on, so it's a relatively straightforward job. Let me go and get one. I thought it might be amusing to put one of the belts on that was in the back of this car when I tipped it all out. I think that one is the power steering belt. Made in England. Frodo's fan belts, oh yes. Nice quality bit of kit that, look at that. It's probably older than I am. But what are the chances of this thing carrying a fan belt in its back end for all those years it was derelict? So I can use it now, eh? Stupidity or romantic, I don't know. That one might be too short. This might flounder yet. No, I'd say that's absolutely on the nail, that one. It's a good one. Marketed by Belaco Limited. Long life. Chapel along the Frith, England, Shire. Even gives the adjustment measurements in inches, as they should be. AC RH 748, whatever that is. Part number. It doesn't seem like a Land Rover part number. RH is my initials though. What fun. Well, say long life. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. It's lasted this long. It's on. It's a little bit shorter than the old belts. You can see the circle on the kind of surround there where the old belt went, but the pulley seems a little bit larger than I'm used to, so it could be a higher current alternator. On this, we'll find out. Thank you. But it fit. A little bit more play than it needs to, but I don't want to be putting any of the bearings in the water pump or anything under any particular tension. Yes. Right. Same beer. No more. Got a bit of a Solihull jam going on here. So behind Redshed we've got Sandy, then we've got Wesley, and then we've got Diana, my dad's Range Rover. I don't name cars, I name projects. I must admit, Sandy's looking bloody good really, isn't he? Really is. I mean, that is one fine looking vehicle, as is this one. I know how to pick them, I really do. Oh yes. Oh yes. Right. Oh my goodness. Right, chuck these belts back in the car again. They can stay in you. They've been in here that long, you can keep them. Right. Are we going to go? We might need... Oh, I'll take my bloody screwdriver back now. Because what I need to do really is get this thing warmed up. That's a big repair on the top of the radiator. I'm not entirely sure I want to dig into that. I know a chap rebuilds these though anyway. Viking radiators, Uxbridge, very nice. Super chap. Rebuilt the radiator on my Range Rover on old Iron 5 and also on the 1972 a-suffix Project Allen, if that was what I called it then at that time. Yes. We might be a bridge too far with this fuel, because it doesn't mind it so much when it's running on a choke, i.e. very rich. So I might turn the fast idle down and just use a little leak up there. Not particularly bother about that. Soon tighten that one up. Amateur works. Oil temp doesn't quite, so it won't be the oil temp. Oil pressure 40, is that 40 psi? Very good. Does the clock fucking work? Find out in a minute. Fuel gauge doesn't do a lot. Let's see if we can drive it back into the shelter because I need to get Alan, what are you talking about? I need to get that out of the way. Right, let's just pull you down a bit. Let's see if you drive. Right, first gear, handbrake off. Yes, you do. Better shut the door, haven't I? Yeah, we've got no brakes at all. Whee! And we're in. Clutch works, but brakes don't. Right, let's turn you off. There you go, you're off. It works. That's all a bonus, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, there might be some coolant leaking down the back of the block there. Or oil. It's oil dripped on the disconnect the battery. Well, that's a bit of a bonus, isn't it? I think so. Drives, doesn't stop, which I think is absolutely ideal. Perfect. Right, I'm going to go and enjoy a beer or four now. I think I'm pleased with that. That's been good progress. Right. One thing that does amuse me is every time I slam the door on this, another piece falls off the bottom, but I'm actually not too bothered about that because most of the sills, A-post, inner wings, they're all going to get replaced anyway. It really isn't an issue. Puddles. That was the mess I made earlier on when the pipe was leaking. Excellent. Most pleased. Ignition on. That's going to have to need a little bit of choke, I think. Right, probably a lot of choke now. We'll see how it goes. Ignition on. Start. Just trying to get the carbs so that they roughly sort of balance, but so it needs choke. Low fuel level warning's on. I wonder if it's out of fuel.
Yeah.
Might be out of fuel.
Because you wouldn't have to put some in, would it?
Well, I'll lob it in the jerry can, to be honest. It is my top tip of the day. If your car's not running properly, make sure it's got fuel in it. The tank's bone dry. But that's fine. Happy with that because it was ancient fuel anyway. So I'll go and get the other tank now and we'll get it up and running with that. I might, as a precaution, just grab the fire extinguisher. You never quite know, do you? Okie dokie. Ignition's on. Let's see if we can get you started now. Just going to pump the fuel through again. We're doing nothing. Why are we not doing anything? By now. Oh good, we've really fixed it now, haven't we? Good work. coil wire had come off, so there's no spark. Right, ignition. Like that. That's no choke. Just a snag of choke. Come on, girl. You want to? It's popping through one of the carburetors. I suspect it needs more choke than that for some reason. You've got to press your choke. Battery back on. Let's give it a go now. Very strong grips together. I think it's flooding. A lot of this shit is just carbs these days. No thermostat in this thing. One hose clip I want to do up because it's just seeping a little bit, and I'm going to take the bonnet off as well so we can go for a run around the field. Hey, how about that? I reckon. See if we can adjust this idle speed down a smidge or two. Right, so let's battery on. low ratio. Ignition on. Ignition's on. Start. Holds, I think. Yes, it's holding. Red Shed made it to the top of the field. Oh yes. On a jury-rigged tank. I probably could have put fresh fuel in the main tank, but I just didn't know how much was left in it. Running quite smoothly. A little bit of smoke here and there. Breathing. This is why you have breather pipes on the top, you see. It's breathing through the top of the cam cover, but I'm not surprised. Right, that puts the pump in. Overdrive. It's in or out. That's overdrive out. Overdrive works well, by the way, folks. You have to go down slowly. Brakes don't put any brakes. It's all sunny when I feel it like that, I'll tell you. Tyres are pumped up. This is motors. The tyres are pumped up. temperature gauge is creeping up now. I think this is a bonus. Radiator might be a bit bunged up. Is that my fucking hat there? I reckon that's my hat there. That I lost ages ago. Bloody is. I lost that ages ago. Found my hat. Hey! Right, we better get this back. Brakes don't work and shit. No, we're out of fuel. Right, I think we'll let it cool down now. I think we'll reposition into the barn once we've got it all working. Fueled up again. I say, bloody good show, what? And I found my hat. Summing up on this, overdrive works, full speeds work, reverse works, brakes don't work. Engine works with its Stromberg carburetors. They still need a damn good balance. The engine seems to hold good oil pressure. Certainly has V8 torque. I didn't give it huge amounts of beans going around field for obvious reasons. No brakes, and I really don't want to brake it. The more observant amongst you will have noticed that the temperature gauge was reading warm, certainly not into the red sector, but reading quite high up on the gauge on that test. It did concern me slightly, and the only reason for that is there's no engine-driven fan on this car. It's got a Kenlo fan on the front, and I've not been able to get that wired up. Yeah, but certainly for a short trip around the field, it was okay. Didn't overheat, but that's the reason why the gauge was running a bit high. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a laugh, hasn't it? It's nice to do something a little bit different. Starting up an old relic and running it around the field. Yeah, subscribe for more. That's from me, Church House Classics, which is all one word, @gmail.com. You can also buy me a pint if you want to. It's before 6 o'clock. I know it's a Saturday, but it's before 6 o'clock, so there's no beer at the end of this video. I've summed up too soon. Perhaps I'll do another summing up, just with me cracking a beer once the sun has gone over the yard arm. Yeah,